YTPC Padre coming to you via the virtual airwaves of YouTube saying, hello there, YTPC folks. How the heck are you? I hope you're doing well. Taken to the virtual airwaves as I prepare to head a little early into the weekend. Came by this morning just to do a couple of quick things here at work, at the church, and then taking the rest of the day off. It's good to have a day off. It's been a busy time, as you know, down here in the Gulf Coast area. We have been dealing with some storms of life. We all deal with the figurative storms of life, all the stressors that, you know, it's part of the human condition. We get the literal storms of life from time to time as well, and this past week on the Gulf Coast we've had a literal storm of life named Sally. A few weeks ago over in southwest Louisiana we had a literal storm of life named Laura. Did a lot of damage, and over here where I am we're kind of in between those 2 points, and so we're doing what we can to try and minister and get relief in any way we can, as just a way of trying to help our human family. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope that you are doing it well and in comfort and not in any kind of great distress. I'm relaxing, having a nice, enjoyable blend that I haven't had in some time. So let me tell you a little bit about it with some house cleaning. First of all, sporting my Missouri Meerschaum baseball cap. While enjoying this Missouri Meerschaum country gentleman decked out with this beautiful blue forever stem. And what's in it, you ask? Well, it's a little something called P-51. Now, you've probably never heard of that. So I'm going to read you something that I held on to when I received this. It's been over 2 years now since I got this blend in the mail. I can't believe it's been that long. It's from our friend Mark, who goes by Tennessee Tin Note. And I still remember the day I opened this blend, got it from in the mail, immediately tried it, and just really thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's been put away, and I really haven't gone back to it as often as I should because it's so enjoyable. But this is a little bit of a semi-homemade concoction. So let me tell you what he writes. And it says, Uncle Bill. Now, I may have read this in a previous video 2 years ago. It's worth revisiting. Let me tell you about it. It says, my first exposure to pipe smoking was around the age of 8. I loved going to my uncle and aunt's home. One of the main reasons was he smoked a pipe. Uncle Bill was larger than life. He was a father of 5, a pharmacist, an avid outdoorsman, and he had flown a P-51D Mustang he named Wild Honey in World War II. He flew 56 missions and was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross and the Air Medal with oak leaf clusters. He was truly a part of the greatest generation. Within the walls of his home, the den was his place, a man cave in the 1970s. I can remember sitting on his lap in that soft recliner as he puffed on that dark brown pipe. Some 40 years later, I can still recall that unique smell. As a new pipe smoker, I had to find out what tobacco he smoked, and one of his grandsons pointed me in the right direction. So yesterday I headed to my local B&M. I purchased an ounce of each of his 2 favorites, Front Porch and Tennessee Whiskey, and I mixed them. That's what he did. I could barely wait to get home, and when I lit my Savinelli, the memories flooded back. It's so good and so memorable. I call it P-51. So when I'm asked, why do you smoke a pipe? because I can share it with Uncle Bill. That's a great, great story. There's Uncle Bill. And I was surprised, again, this was sent to me in September of 2018. And Mark wrote a little note down there at the bottom to me. I'm so appreciative. And I'm so enjoying cracking that tin today and having some of this P-51. It's a little breezy. You know, I was thinking back when this pandemic first started and the lockdown first hit us. Do you remember the panic? There wasn't a panic of like, we got to wear masks. There wasn't a panic of, we have to social distance. For some reason, there was a panic to buy toilet paper. We are funny critters as humans. We really are. Thinking of that because I found a book that somebody had given me a while back and I never really got a chance to read it. I only recently got to the first few pages. And it has me intrigued. And the book is titled Dial It Down, Live It Up, 8 Steps to Simplify Your Life, and it's written by a guy named Jeff Davidson, who I've never heard of. But in the first page is a section called Surrounded by Complexity, and there was a line in it that just drew me in. I wanted to read it to you. It says, no previous generation on Earth has had more items competing for its time and attention. And he gets that point across with this next illustration when he writes, in his entire life, George Washington never spent a second watching CNN headline news or making a Facebook post. And he had no Twitter followers. Do you ever long for those days? The more simplistic times when we're not in a pandemic. When we're not buying toilet paper in panic purchase mode. I'll read you a couple of more lines. Today, the term simplicity means different things to different people. For some, it is the quest for more control over their time or space with less to clean or maintain. For others, it's having less stress, fewer bills to pay, or more leisure time. Many associate simplicity with a peaceful state of mind, often linked with spirituality. Your personal quest for simplicity might encompass one or all of these. Do you find yourself on a personal quest for simplicity? I think lately I have been. I've noticed that as I let my space get more and more disorganized, my desk or my office or my space at home, I feel less and less in control, less and less at peace. And sometimes in the course of organizing, what you have to do is simplify, and you got to get rid of some stuff and purge yourself of it. And I think that's okay. And I'm just kind of going through one of those phases right now. And I'm learning that that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you got to get rid of some stuff in life. It just piles up, makes life more and more complex and complicated than it needs to be. And then finding a way to relax also helps bring about that peace. And I'll tell you, this P-51 helps. This is really a nice blend. Now, speaking of panic purchases, I don't know if anybody else has had this problem or run into this, what I'm about to tell you about, but in my quest to try and organize some space in my life, one of the places I'm attempting to do some organizing is in my pipe room at home. I call it that. It's not a place where I typically smoke a pipe, but I do keep my pipes in there, as well as my jars and my unopened tins. And it's just become a mess. And I've got to get it organized. And so I started working on it. And in the process of doing it, I realized I've got to get caught up on jarring. And I had some jars on hand, but I needed more. So I went to Amazon, and I've bought mason jars on Amazon before, and I was a little taken aback at the price. It seemed like the price had doubled and tripled from a lot of sellers. And that struck me as kind of odd. I didn't remember paying all that much like they're wanting now. So I started searching elsewhere, and I hit the local stores, Target and Walmart and all these different places. And it began to dawn on me that maybe the prices are going up online because there's a shortage. Could this be the fallout post toilet paper panic purchasing? That we not only had a shortage of toilet paper at some point, then we had a shortage of coins and change in our society at some point. But it sure seemed like we were having a shortage of mason jars. Now something at some point in this lightning quick mind of mine said, you should Google that. And I did. You're not going to believe this. If you're having problems purchasing jars right now, mason jars, there's good reason for it. There's a shortage of mason jars. That's just the craziest thing ever. Now, I don't want to add to the panic, but I can tell you Mark VV texted me earlier today. He offered to trade me some McClellan Christmas cheer from 2007 for a couple of mason jars. I'm only kidding on that part. He did jokingly say that when I asked him if he'd noticed. But folks, there really is. There's a shortage of mason jars out there. Hopefully it's going to get corrected soon. But until then. And I found an article online on Google by Better Homes and Gardens. And they published this back in August, I believe it was. And they said that with the lockdown came an increase in interest in canning foods, preserving foods in jars. And so the little hobby of, using those jars for what they were really intended, which is canning foods and fruits and preserves and such, people just were doing more of that. Now, I don't know if they were doing it out of boredom. That's my assumption. Maybe some of the doomsdayers were doing it for other reasons. Not quite sure. But what I am sure of is right now, those jars are hard to come by. Now, you may be watching this video a year after I placed it up. And all of this may be for naught. Let's hope that's the case. But at this moment, in the middle of September, in the year 2020, we have survived the toilet paper crisis. We have survived the coin change crisis. But we're currently going through the crisis of a shortage of mason jars. But I'm not letting it get to me. Here's my secret. Corncob pipe. A forever stem. A good blend. Some nice reading. Some quiet prayer time. And maybe a good, hot, strong cup of coffee. And for this moment of peace, well, that's pretty much all I need right now. Coming up this weekend over on BRTV, some exclusive content Mark VV and I have recorded, and we'll be dropping episode 3 as we smoke through the Middle Earth sampler from the Country Squire Tobacconist. Again, that's only available for you on Briar Report Television, so go on over to briarreport.org. You'll see the first 2 episodes and now the newest, the 3rd episode in the series. This month we're doing a blend called Second Breakfast. Now Phil's also put up an opportunity for you to complete a little survey that Flat Cap Piper put together. You can let us know what your thoughts are on the blend that way. If you don't want to comment, you don't have to comment. If you don't want to make a video response, you don't have to make a video response if you don't want to, but you can fill out the quick little survey and share your thoughts on this month's blend, Second Breakfast. And of course, Country Squire also has the sampler still available. You can go order yours and you can have not only the Second Breakfast with us, you can go back in time and do Bag End and Old Toby. And of course, we still have 3 more months of this to go, so 3 more blends to go. So check out the Country Squire online and pick yourself up a BRTV Middle Earth series sample and enjoy that along with us. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish this bowl of P-51 from Tennessee Tin Note. As I prepare to head into the weekend. So until we're together again on the virtual airwaves, Padre, wishing you and yours God's peace, grace, and blessings.